So one of the things that I like to do when I'm out and about is do a little thrift shopping. And I love popping in and out and just seeing what there is. And sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. But one of the things that I find difficult to get in the area where I'm living at the moment is the kind of books that I would like to use for making ephemera. I think more because I'm closer to the heart of a city than in a suburb, that this is probably part of the problem. But I thought I'd just share with you some things that I've found from some online resources, and I will share with you what I've found and give you an indication of their prices so that you can actually have a look. So one of the resources that I have been using quite a lot is World of Books, or otherwise known as WOB, and they are based in the UK, but I'm sure that in most countries you will have some kind of online second-hand bookstore. There's another one that I have used called abe.com, and they've got some really nice things. So my latest sort of treasure hunt started off by me looking for a baking book for my granddaughter, and then I found all of these. So one of the things that I had heard such a lot about in my years of growing up with my mom was the language of flowers, and I did think that this book would have more illustrations than it has, but it actually has just got these charming illustrations of the pansies, and then it's got all the meanings of the flowers, what they represent in sort of time, I suppose. Ambrosia, love refined; amethyst, admiration. So let's see another one that we perhaps know. Basil, hatred. I wouldn't have thought that. Basil, such a nice tasty plant. Let's have another look here. Cedar, for strength. Chicory, frugality. China star, variety. Crocus, abuse not. Daisy, double daisy, dahlia, instability, dahlia, single, good taste. So it's got a whole lot of things that have been written down. I like the old-fashioned sort of pen and ink script. And then it's got a very nice inscription in here that says, "To Mother, wishing you many happy returns of the day, from Father, August the 18th, 1930. There is a language little known, love claims it as their own. Its symbols smile upon the land, wrought by nature's wondrous hand, and in their silent beauty speak of love and joy to those who seek. For love divine and sunny hails in the language of the flowers." So it really doesn't have a huge number of illustrations, but it's got some really lovely watercolor images on the sides of these pages. And obviously, because it is a really old book, it's got wonderful patina to it. So I'm very pleased with this, and I will be using these pages. So that's the language of flowers. Then I do have Edith Holden, Diary of a Country Lady, but I just saw this one which had the holly and the birds, and I really just fell in love with this. And quite honestly, this was only £1 or £2, so I was very delighted to get it. It's a hardcover book. I love the inside cover page. It's quite unusual. I could use that as a piece of scrapbook paper. And then I'm just going to flip through this so that you'll get an idea of what's in it. Very nice images. They've got some little poems as well. But I think if anybody knows the Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady, you will agree that the illustrations are probably what draw one's heart to the book. They're just charming. This is almost very sort of Japanesey in its thing, but that's a dock seed, and do I know dock so well. I work in a horticultural field for part of my working week, and we are constantly getting stung by stinging nettles, and they always say, "Oh, you'll find dock next to the stinging nettles." So I'm very familiar with these seeds because we're forever pulling them out. I quite honestly don't find dock that very good for a counteract to the stinging nettles. The alcohol sanitizer that we used in COVID was much better. Look at that lovely little bird feeder, just very simple, lovely little birds. So if you have a look at this, this is a book that I will be making use of. for ephemera. I love the little bits of poems, some from unknown authors and some from those that we are known. Beautiful, beautiful things. And of course, being an older book, this again has got that nice sort of patina look around the edge of the page. That sort of almost yellowy sepia kind of color. Look at this beautiful knapweed. There are plants which just grow in the fields where I am, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, one's sometimes loath to pull them out, but when you're trying to grow other crops, you have to. Beautiful, beautiful imagery. So if you can have a look, I just typed into Google Edith Holden books, and then I clicked on images, and I was able to find this particular book. So that's pretty much what I do, is I type in a subject or an author's name and then Google images, and just then go to see the quality. When you buy at these online bookstores, they will always tell you what the condition of the books are like. So this one was very good. Some of them they'll say is good, others they'll say is well read, and you can then make your selection. I think quite often when we are doing things with ephemera, a well-read book doesn't matter because you're not wanting the text so much, but rather the illustrations. So this just gives you a nice idea of what's inside. It's a little different to the Country Diary, and so I think the two would complement each other nicely for things. Look at this little frog. Isn't he sweet? I had frogs in my garden in Cape Town, and I had one variety called a leopard-toed frog, and honestly, when I say it was big as my hand like that, they really were. And because we had drought for 4 years, we used to have to cover our swimming pools completely with a pool cover, and the pool companies, because of the drought restrictions, obviously got really busy, and you couldn't get a proper made cover. So we used to get this pool grade bubble wrap by the sheets. It was blue, and it was much harder than normal bubble wrap, and we used to cover the pools with that. It kind of just floated on the surface, but it did the job of stopping water evaporation. And these leopard-toed frogs used to come into the pool at night just for the little bit of water that was there. Oh my word, did they make a big noise. They sounded like a drunk old man on a park bench snoring at full tilt. And I used to lie in bed and just laugh, and then I could sometimes stand upstairs, and if I put the garden lights on, I could see them. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera. I could see them jumping around on top of the pool covers. So it was really a really fun time to watch. And when the rain came out, they were in full song. These are lovely colours in these berry branches here. Winter berries. I've actually just dried some rose hips. We had a lovely rose bush next to our tea rooms, and I picked some and dried them, so I'm going to be making some rosehip tea quite soon. Right, so lovely ephemera in this book, waiting to happen. Then I saw this book, and I couldn't see the inside of the book, so I didn't know whether it was purely text or not, but again, it was very, very inexpensive, £1 or £2. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to take a chance, and I'm quite pleased with what I've got. So there are quite a lot of smaller little illustrations here. There's some quite fun ones here too, of different things, you know, for instance fishing, little squirrels that we don't always find so easily. Sorry, am I still in frame? I sometimes pull my books. They've got lovely old images here, so I'm not loath to protect this book. I'm quite happy to cut it up and use it for a project. And what I do like about this book is that the ephemera are nicely positioned on each page for cutting out, and obviously you could fussy cut or just cut out as a thing. Look at this lovely old photograph of them in the hay farm. Really lovely sepia pictures. So lots of things here that I would be able to use. That reminds me of The Wind in the Willows, little mole. My cat that I had at one point in my life, she used to always bring me moles as presents, and then I'd go into my room and I'd find my carpet was suddenly moving, and I thought, oh, she brought me another little present. Right, so this was a good find, because this has actually got a load of ephemera here that I will very, very happily use. So again, very nicely. Then this book intrigued me. It's called Create Your Own Artist's Journal by Erin O'Toole. I wasn't too sure whether this was going to be like a sketchbook that had blank pages inside that you would just start drawing in, or whether it had any other things, but it is more of a step-by-step guide of how to actually make a book. and then also, sorry, I'm just going to move these ones on the side, how to also be able to start journaling and taking note of things that you see in nature as you go for walks. So there's the author of the book, and the first few pages here just give you some sort of general idea of where they're going with that, and then this is the actual starting of the journal, how to make marks in the, oopsie, I seem to, one page, how to make marks in the journal, what to look for. So when you're out, if you have a journal and you're going out and about, you generally wouldn't do a detailed painting or drawing, very loose, just to give you an impression of what is actually happening. Just looking for little vignettes really, so that you could actually just make a record of them rather than doing a whole formal painting. She gives you ideas here of, for instance, with this one, she's put her eye line here and then says, what can you see when you're looking at all of these things going around? Is there movement? So if she's looking at that picture, she's got 3 separate little vignettes, and that's how her eye has captured those. Look at this little cat in the basket, it's gorgeous. So as you go through this, there are many, many tips and hints and things, but again, they are wonderful things for ephemera. But just look at these. How lovely for a book cover, or for a little journaling tag, or something to go into a tuck spot. Really gorgeous. She moves on to discuss the various materials that you might need if you were going to start building a book from scratch. So if you wanted to make your own book, she will give you some indication there of how to actually do that, what sort of things are good for making marks. And making marks is not just a pencil or a pen and ink. You can use a whole variety of things. I wonder if I've got one here. Yeah. Here's something that I love using to make marks with. I have no idea what it is. I just found it one day at home when I was clearing out something. Somebody said to me it looks like maybe a piece of a gasket of some sort. Sorry, I just want to see if I can find a piece of paper quickly to show you. But this has just really got quite a nice texture. I used to use it a lot at one point. Sometimes forget about these things, pack them away, and then find them a couple of years later. Oh, here comes a piece of paper, surprise. Right, so this one is just a, as I say, I think it's a gasket, but I can draw with it. I can do smudging marks where I can shade. I can do quite dark marks, and I can do quite thin wispy lines. So it's not a pencil as such in a formal structure of drawing, but it is something that makes marks. It's not smudgy like charcoal would be, so yeah, something that I use. Talking about the kits, sort of things that you might have if you're going to start your journals. And then obviously this is just a walkthrough of how you would visually mark things, where your eye line is going to capture, whether you're going to work with a landscape or a portrait image. Lovely loose watercolors here. I could quite easily see that in a junk journal. Lovely little drawings interspersed as well. And yeah, just a really, really beautiful, beautiful book. So I'm not too sure how we'll use this. This one, I could do 2 things. I could actually use the pages as the beginning of a book by taking out some of the ones that I wouldn't necessarily want, or I could gut it and just use the cover and put in some plain paper that I could use for drawing and painting on, or I could cut the book up and use it for ephemera. So the jury's out on what I'm going to be using this for at this stage, but because it's got so much in here and I just love nature, this is something that I was really drawn to. I will put an image in the description box below. Well, I'll put a link in the description box below to the World of Books, and just say be encouraged that if you are hunting for things, they're there. They've got wonderful, wonderful collection of stuff. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of books that you might not have the opportunity of getting because you just don't appear in those sort of charity shops when they've been put on the shelves. And so that's a nice way to be able to secure your choice through the post. And it comes pretty quickly. I think these came in within about 2 to 3 days, and with the World of Books the postage was included, so very happy there. Thank you for joining me on this little journey of exploration into second-hand books. If you've enjoyed this video, please just give me a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel, and I'm happy if you want to share the videos. And yeah, do loads and loads of different videos, so yeah, it's worthwhile subscribing, because then you'll get a notification when the new videos are up. Anyway, enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.